and he's an expert that generated quite a chat on the National Defense Lawyers listserv this past week.
And so, what can we share? What did he post publicly?
Well, I will share the first dozen or so points he made about junk science, how it comes to be. And so, folks, I'm not nearly smart enough to have invented this, but he did. And here's the typical playbook, according to Mr. Garrett, that the government follows to push their agenda. They invent a pseudoscience from scratch, and then they establish a specialized training academy for that pseudoscience. And then they limit enrollment exclusively to law enforcement officers, and then they issue their own proprietary certifications. So, I mean, isn't this sounding good so far? You create
Perfect.
a pseudoscience, you only enroll law enforcement officers, and then you issue them a certificate or certify them. And they get this beautiful certificate. Then they recruit former cops to develop software that automates the process. And then they create software certifications restricted only to law enforcement. Now, why would they do that?
It's almost just like the homeopathy industry.
Then they deploy this pseudoscience in less sophisticated U.S. court systems where scrutiny is minimal. And then when they have some successes, they publicly boast about their successes. And then they gradually allow select ex-cops who align with them into the program, some experts who've never testified, producing reports that always find defendants guilty. Now, that sounds a little bit rigged, doesn't it?
Ever so slightly.
And then they argue in court that both prosecution and defense rely on the software, even though it's not true. And they say that the software performs no actual science. He says that the software itself performs no actual scientific analysis. And then they insist that only certified individuals can testify while blocking uncertified experts through the secret training requirements. And they do that at the Daubert hearings for certifying and approving an expert witness. So they've shut off the floodgate where you can't be certified and you're not a certified person. And then they rebrand what's normally just raw data into proprietary names tied to a software company. And they turn cell call detail records and they call it, quote, cell hawk data. And then they have law enforcement dominate the so-called scientific working groups.